What's up? Stay tuned to get ready, get set, and escape with me. So before we begin, I just want to let you guys know I do a couple of different things. If you're new here, just want to let you know on this channel. One of my most favorite things is doing my drawing videos. They range from just your basic discussion videos to time-lapse videos involving commentary with music and without commentary with music. And do be sure to check the playlist. I do a number of different content on here, from dramatic readings, podcasts, etc. I also have a gaming channel that I do Fortnite videos on, including other gameplay stuff as well. Let me know if you have any future content you'd like for me to do in the future as well after checking those things out, or if you come up with anything while I'm doing this video. So shout out to Mr. Nightmare and Creepy McPasta. I've been subscribed to them for a while, and I've really enjoyed their content because of the creepypasta side of storytelling that I have just kind of been attached to for quite a while. Scary stories, monster stories, just things like that have always had a special place in my heart, and I just can't get away. And of course, Fortnite I've enjoyed for quite a while, so both together just seemed like something I couldn't resist. So starting this video off, it actually starts off with a warning. All audio used in any of these videos is protected by copyright. Re-uploading or using this audio for any other YouTube videos or any other social media platform without direct permission will be legally pursued. So in other words, don't upload this original video anywhere without his acceptance, his permission. Technically, if I'm doing a reaction video, I did my research, looked it up, and saw other people did it, so I should be fine. But I'm not trying to make Mr. Nightmare mad. So if you feel like this is still not okay, then I understand. I am taking a risk with this, but I wanted to do this because of the content that I am excited for seeing this video. And technically, doing a reaction video, having my own content with it, adding my commentary to it, it kind of makes it a gray area. So without further ado, let's escape. 3 horrific stories that had happened while playing Fortnite. Oh, my bad, I forgot to say, check out his channel. The link to this original video will be in the description below. Let him know I sent you, share some love, like, and comment on his video and on mine, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the content. So, let's escape. Syncing the video, boom. Do I have that skin? I can't tell who that is. So there's 3 stories, alright. I know I have that dive animation. I love the dive animation.
I'm sure by now we all know what Fortnite is.
No, I don't. I know what PUBG is,
for the
though.
longest
That's a
time,
PUBG?
I never actually played it until my friends basically forced me to download it and play with them. They wanted to play in squads, which is what it's called when you play in groups of 4. My 4 friends were Evan, Xavier, and Braxton. Evan was hands down the best player and basically the initiator of this group match. Xavier was the second best. Then there was Braxton. Braxton only spoke on his headset when he was in trouble or needed help. Evan, Xavier, and I, on the other hand, just goofed around and talked the whole time. The 2 of them did their best to explain how to play to me over the headset. Anyway, none of this really matters. I'll skip ahead to the important part. Evan stopped talking, and there was a good 10 seconds of silence. Then, Evan, who was leading us from one point to another, stopped dead in his tracks. His character just stood still for a while. Xavier turned on his headset, sounding annoyed, telling Evan to move. His character still just stood in place, and Evan said nothing, but according to the screen, Evan's mic was making noise. Then I could hear background noise that seemed to be coming from Evan's mic.
Oh boy.
Xavier, Braxton, and I were all telling Evan to move or we'd ditch him. But we all dropped silent when a horrific, almost painfully loud screaming came from Evan's mic.
Ooh.
It wasn't like he was screaming into the mic. It seemed like Evan was somewhere in the background of the room.
Taco Bell.
Then, a door slammed shut in the background, and the 3 of us were left not knowing what to say or do. I told the 2 of them I'd call Evan immediately, and turned off the console. I tried calling him 5 times. He never picked up, though, so I decided to drive over to his house, which was 2 minutes away. I got to his house and saw no cars in the driveway, but the front door was open and the lights were on throughout the house. I let myself in, screaming Evan's name. Evan screamed back from somewhere upstairs. I followed the sound of his voice right up to the loft bedroom, where I found him hiding under the bed. He told me to hide, I told him to get out from under the bed and tell me what
Yo,
happened. He
he
said there was
told you to
someone in his
hide.
bedroom. He would speak in very limited sentences for the longest time, until he calmed down and would finally explain in detail. As Evan was playing Fortnite with us, he felt a tap under his bed. He pulled the cloth material that covered the sides of the bed up and looked under the bed and saw a grown man
Yikes.
hiding underneath. That's when he threw his headset on the bed and screamed as he backed into the corner. He says the man emerged from under the bed as Evan was still paralyzed in fear in the corner, screaming.
Yikes.
Then the man walked straight out the bedroom door, and that was the last we ever saw of him. At that moment, he didn't know if the man was still in the house or not, so we called the cops, not knowing what else to do.
Dude, he didn't call the
When
cops.
they showed up, we didn't know what to expect from them. 2 cops actually showed up. The male officer went inside of the house and looked around, while the female officer stayed with us outside with a small pocket notebook in her hand, writing down what Evan described to her. And just like that, the cops left.
That's creepy.
I stayed over Evan's house that night just to make him feel better. We all still play Fortnite together. I'm much better now.
Is that the end of the first story? Okay, boom. I'm gonna pause it real quick. That talk about that first story. That was wow. Very simplistic though. I enjoyed the delivery and just the overall mystery behind it. The fact that I'm kind of wondering, like, what was the dude even doing under the bed though? I guess he was. My guess is the dude was probably waiting for the guy to fall asleep to do whatever goal the person wanted to do, whether it was rob or kill. I have no idea. You never really know what people's intentions are in situations like that. And I get that. That's how some people are, especially with Fortnite. And Destiny's kind of the same way. But when you multiplayer games in general, we have to like have direct conversation. Some people just stay quiet so they can focus on the gameplay. Fortnite is definitely a type of game where you really have to listen, especially when people are nearby. We're in the same house together. You have to really hear where they are. And if you can't hear that, like if you're in a group chat where there's multiple people playing different games, it messes you up. So some friends, I personally don't care that much. I don't care. I'll be in a group and people together. I'll talk all I want. I know it does handicap me a little bit, but I mean, it's whatever. But I know I have a couple friends who do take that stuff seriously, and I get that. So when I heard that, I was like, yo, my group is just like that. Well, I have, the similarities, so I'll leave it at that. And so I give that story, give it a 7 out of 10, mainly because it was short, sweet, to the point. I kind of wanted more from it, but it was still a type of story that gives you goosebumps, because it's like that could happen to anybody, seriously. So without further ado, let's jump back in and hear story 2. At least I hope that story number 2 continuing on. I didn't want to cut off the story mid abruptly like that, excuse me. All right, and boom.
I've never been a huge Fortnite person.
What skin is
all
that?
my friends have been for a while.
Oh,
I always feel like I'm being left out when they're saying to jump on Fortnite and such. Yeah, I've played the game a few times and I get the gist of the gameplay and whatnot.
I'm
just
average.
Not good at the game.
Trying to get better.
One Monday night, I hopped on the game and played alone just to practice. I did that over and over and over, until I started actually getting pretty decent at the game. Then I started to play the game with other players, not my friends, just random people online. I played a game of duos, meaning with one other person on my team. His gamer tag was BobRocket16 or something.
People have
like that,
weird usernames, man. Seriously.
Or whatever. I didn't write it down. We lost the game. Think we ranked like number 20. After the game was over, I got a personal message from the guy saying he thought I was really good and that we should play again. It was weird because really I didn't play too well at all that game. Nevertheless, I played another game with him. This time he turned on his microphone and was trying to talk to me. I don't have a gaming microphone, so I couldn't talk back. I could only hear him through the TV speakers. Based on his tone and what he was saying, he seemed to be getting annoyed that I wasn't talking to him. I heard him say things like, put your mic on and stop being a faggot.
Nah, I'm blocking you at that point.
This guy being cool was gone at this point.
We ain't playing no more.
He was just a straight up douche. I was gonna finish the game, but after that, that was it with this guy. He kept saying stuff, most of it incoherent simply because of my distance to the TV and the noise of the actual game itself. But then I heard him say my name. Not just my first name,
And my
my
social
full name.
security.
When I heard this, I panicked and thought to myself, wait, is my real name displayed on my profile? But I realized, no, it couldn't be. The guy kept saying things over the mic, but I wasn't listening at this point.
That's creepy.
I went over to the console and turned it off in a panic. Just knowing that the sound of the guy's voice was gone now made me sigh in relief. I texted my friends and told them about it. They all seemed to think it was funny, typing their LOLs and LMAOs and whatnot.
It happens.
I put my phone down on the desk as I went on my laptop. The phone vibrated again. I expected it to be one of my friends, but it was an unknown number. The message was hi, and then my full name. I typed back, "Who is this?" The typing bubbles with the 3 dots came up for the longest time. I waited anxiously to see what this person was going to say. The message was, "Is this your address?" And then my actual address. I once again typed, "Who is this?" And then I lied and typed, "No, that isn't my address."
I just said wrong
never
number.
Responded after that. I started accusing my friends of fucking with me. They all swore they had nothing to do with it, though. Low-key, I didn't believe them, but I didn't bother feeding into it. I figured if it is them, the more reaction I give, the more kicks they get out of it.
That is so scary.
I went to bed ignoring my friends.
Oh no.
I woke up to something. I was almost positive I heard a noise. You know how sometimes a sound will wake you up, but you don't know what the sound was because you weren't awake yet to hear it? Well, that was me at this moment. I sat up looking around my room as anyone naturally would. My whole body jerked and
the editing is real good in this video.
There was a set of knocks on my window.
He's always good at this stuff.
Instead of looking to see who was out there like a man, I ran like a coward out of my room and to the nearest bathroom, where I locked myself in. There were no windows in that bathroom, so I felt safe.
I heard
actually fell
a
asleep
toilet
in that
flush.
bathroom, and when I woke
Waking
up,
me up.
I texted my friends again, telling them all to go fuck themselves. They all got a kick out of it, but when I saw them in person, they seemed pretty genuine when they told me they had nothing to do with it. To this day, I really don't know if my friends were pranking me, or if that guy who I was playing Fortnite with actually somehow got my information and came to my house.
And boom. So that one's, I mean, the crazy thing about these first 2 stories, they are both very realistic. The first one, anyone could just break into your house. Let's be honest. That's a lot of people's houses can be easily broken into. Unless you have an alarm, then it's like, oh, dip. So there's that. This one can easily happen too, because people can hack your account and your information is on there. Like especially if you have your payment information, your billing information, most ways people have to sign up to get an account, like PSN for instance, you have to have all that information available. So that was very realistic. Like this dude could have been a hacker and he just found all your information that way through your card account, especially if he's playing online. So this one, I give this a 10 out of 10 because that is extremely scary because of the fact of how, well, I think I'll give the other one an 8 out of 10 because that one, now I'm thinking about it more, yikes. And this one is even more scary because this person just started finding everything. The phone number is a little bit of a stretch. But then again, I forgot what all information I put on. I know the billing information, like your address and your name is on there. I forgot if they actually asked for your phone number. Most likely though, I wouldn't be surprised. So all that stuff, that can really, really easily happen. I'm not sure. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened to someone before. So that, oof, I'm getting chills. All right, so we're heading on to the last story here. Let me know if you guys below. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any freaky stories like this, or any type of or if you have any personal ones, or if you heard anything like this before, it happened to anyone. So I like to hear your comments. Let me know. So we're gonna jump into the third story here. Going, boom.
My 10-year-old son Chris had been playing that Fortnite game all day, every day for the past few months.
Ninja's origin
story. It had been
story.
driving me insane. I would scream at him to go out once in a while, Instead, all I heard was that sound of that bus honking its horn every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes?
Constant gunshots coming from his room.
He ain't lasting long in the game at all.
Eventually one night at like 9 p.m., Chris came out of his room and shouted out to the kitchen that he was having someone over. I angrily asked him who. He said,
Ninja.
Some guy from Fortnite who lives around here.
Or
Fuse went off in my head as I heard this. Apparently, he invited over some random person he was talking to on Fortnite. When I asked him how old, Chris shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't know, he sounds kind of old.
Really, dude?
I started to freak out, knowing some random stranger who was probably well older than my 10-year-old son was coming to my house. I locked all the doors and turned on all the porch lights. I told Chris to just keep playing his game in his room, not to talk to anyone else.
Grounded.
I waited around by the windows until a car pulled up in front of my house.
Call the police.
Stopped, and the headlights turned off.
Let them know.
The door opened, someone came out, and started walking up the pathway to my front door. I felt like my heart dropped into my stomach when I saw some middle-aged man, probably 40, mildly overweight, step into the light and then up the stairs to the front door. He rang the bell 3 times. I ignored it. Then he started pounding on the door for a bit. I ignored that as well. He walked down the stoop, looking up through the windows as he walked down the pathway. I made sure he couldn't see me. I thought for sure he'd go to his car and leave, but he went around to the side of my house, out of sight from the windows. He was actually going to my back door. I heard from around back the door being nudged, as he clearly tried to open it. I stayed put where I was. There were no other entry points to the house, so once he gave up, he would surely leave. When the noises from the back door stopped, I waited for 5 minutes in the kitchen until I thought it was time to check. I wanted to hopefully get a look outside,
eyes in the window.
So I shut the lights and lifted the blinds in the kitchen. There was the man's face, 2 inches from the glass, as he looked into the kitchen, or rather, he now looked at me. I screamed with a shake in my yell that I was calling the cops. I think that scared him off because he walked away, and I watched as he got in his car and left. I didn't call the cops though. Instead, I marched right to Chris's room.
Let them know about this.
I grounded him for 2 weeks for endangering not only the household, but himself. That meant no video games for 2 weeks, and after the 2 weeks, he would have to go 2 months without access to his wireless headset.
Now
that the 2 weeks are up, he's back on the game. I get sick to my stomach thinking about what would have happened if I wasn't.
He said 2 weeks without the game, 2 months without the headset. Gotcha, okay. Wow. That's nuts, man. So all 3 stories were actually realistic. And those types of stories are the most horrific of all. I honestly didn't know what to expect from these videos, and I can honestly say this was a thrill. The last story in particular, I feel, is one that almost, honestly, a lot of kids can be very easily manipulated. We as people can be very well manipulated. But to a kid, he's like, oh, it's a new friend, you know, not the person can just want to play. Well, actually, with Fortnite, you can't really play co-op unless you're playing Save the World. So I don't know, even then, I don't even know if it's locally. So, I mean, then again, some people just bring over their TV, they bring over their console, and they play next to each other in the same room. That's pretty fun. I always enjoyed that for games that are not locally multiplayer. But at the same time, it's like, what is this dude? The bad thing was the kid didn't know any information about him, and the guy just comes to the house. Next thing you know, the dude is like this. He's like in his 40s. He just comes to the house, doesn't talk to the parents at all, and it's at night. That's all types of red flags right there. And it's this guy's doing all this extra stuff to get into the house. It's just wow. And it's like, dude, you didn't talk to your kid at all about this. Like, don't invite strangers over, at least not without talking to me first. So, and I do apologize for the quality of the audio. I just realized that is my webcam audio instead of my microphones. I do apologize about that. I don't know why it switched to that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to talk a bit longer between each episode so it becomes more of a fair use thing, and hopefully so Mr. Nightmare doesn't get mad that I did a reaction of this video, but just to add more content to it, my own personal reaction to it, bring more people to his channel, just to network. You know, it's not meant to take his content or do anything negative towards it. If anything, I'm just wanting to share the content to other people who take pride in stories like this as well. So without further ado, hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said before, if you have any other content you'd like me to react to, or any content in general, check out my channel, check out Mr. Nightmare, and share some love. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until the winter sails yet again, I will see you in the next escape. Later days.